Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this podcast. My name is Maryse, and I am one of the customer growth partners here at the Icehouse. Today with me, I have got Ed and I've got Carl with me. So Ed is an Icehouse alumni program number 46, I believe, and Carl is an Icehouse alumni program number 48. Welcome, you two.
Morning. How you doing?
Yeah. How's the mighty Waikato today?
Tropical.
Yeah, we can see out your window there, Carl, and it's it's looking bright.
Yeah, hey, at least it was fine at 5 o'clock this morning. It's all good.
Oh, 5 o'clock this morning. Oh, I'm still asleep in my bed at that time. And I was just talking to Ed just before, and my colleague Daryl, and she loves Ed's bread, and she refers to it as Ed's bread. And we were in Cambridge yesterday, and went and got some bread from Ed's. So just for the audience out there that are watching, please, Ed, we'll go with you first. Can you just explain who you are and what you do?
Oh, so as said, my name's Ed. I'm the co-owner of Volare Bread. So we are one of the premier artisan bakeries in New Zealand. So we specialise in sourdough breads, traditional pastries. We do and bake other sort of traditional Kiwi items like sausage rolls, pies, custard squares, all those sort of delicious things as well. So while we've been going 11 years, still feel that we're the new kid on the block in terms of baking in New Zealand. So yeah, got a lot of plans for the future.
Nice. And don't forget donuts.
Oh, and donuts, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh gosh, I've been seeing them online, and I saw them for real yesterday, and oh my goodness, they look amazing.
Yeah, no, they're going quite well.
Carl, what about you? Who are you, and what do you do?
Yeah, so Carl Saywell, owner of MS Civil Construction, and I guess we're based here in the Waikato. Been doing this for I guess 3 years now, so very much am the new kid on the block. And we sort of do a little bit of everything from like at the moment today, literally just laying a small footpath outside of school to building 4 metre high retaining walls. So we bit of everything. There's not really a job too big or small. So that's kind of us, and we sort of travel all across the Waikato. So
yeah, awesome. Now I got you two together because you both know each other. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Ed used to rip me off when we used to work together at Fulton Hogan. So.
yeah.
And the friendship started from there.
Pretty much. That's it. Great relationship. And we are 7 years on, and I'm begging to borrow a digger on the weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we both worked together at Fulton Hogan. We were in separate departments, I suppose, different business units. But Carl being surfacing manager, and I was the renewals manager or contract construction manager, and essentially I got the work and then went to Carl to make sure that it could be done, and he delivered it. So that was the relationship then. I suppose fast forward 5 years, stint over in Australia to come back, and Carl's got his own thing going, which is awesome.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. And do you guys hang out outside of your workhouse?
Yeah, business owners don't have much of a social life, do they? But yeah, probably, certainly we do, given how much spare time we get. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to ask a few questions about your Icehouse owner manager experience. So Ed, why did you enroll in the owner manager program?
I think it was something I was aware of for quite a few years. It was always something that was a little bit far out there, and something I hadn't really considered until probably the BNZ came along and said, hey, where you're at with business, the size of the business now, it's a pretty good opportunity, and probably mulled over it for probably a year and a half, and then got persuaded to give it a go. And certainly no regrets from doing it.
I do remember meeting you at the BNZ Partner Centre with the BNZ partner Stacey. Hi, Stacey. Yeah. So that's the first time I'd met you, and I've met you countless times after that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And Carl, over to you. Why did you enroll in the Icehouse Owner Manager program?
I guess it was sort of always on the cards right from the word go. So very early on when we started the business, it was kind of a little bit of background to it. It was success right at day one was just owning a couple diggers and a couple trucks and doing some cool earthwork jobs. And I think within the space of 2 or 3 months, we were already at 8 people and half a dozen bits of kit floating around and spiraling. Huge growth and sort of spiraling out of control in some way, shape, or form. So ended up looking out for help, and BNZ referred us to the Icehouse. And at that point, it just became a journey from there with one of the coaches, Derek, who now sits on my board and still helps out, which is pretty cool. So it was always sort of said that was something to aspire to, and I probably pushed pretty hard to get onto it after hearing all the good things about it, to be fair. So yeah, it was probably more for me, it was how fast could I get on it rather than when. So
yeah, and I remember meeting you for the first time at Innovation Park. We had a coffee together and had a bit of a chat. Yeah
definitely.
So we might as well carry on with you, Cal. So what did you learn on the program?
I think the big one and the consensus around our group hugely, like there's a lot of really cool content, a lot of stuff that you can take and leave and sort of work through and sort of helps fill a lot of gaps. But the connections you gain through all of the people that you have there are just absolutely fantastic. I mean, very lucky that in some regard we finished up our OMP pretty much the week before COVID lockdown, so we were all really tight through that and connecting through it. And there's some, I guess that the range of people you meet there is just incredible. You know, you've got guys, I mean, in our classroom that were professional pool builders in Nelson through to some of New Zealand's largest exporters. So the expertise and professionalism you can sort of tap into was just huge and wide. So I think everybody got quite a lot from it, just from probably just as much out of the content in the course as probably just around the bar as well with all the other people that you meet. It's an incredible, probably an incredible environment to network and work in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ed, what did you learn?
Well, I mean, I think Carl summed it up quite nicely there. It was the same situation, 25 other business owners or directors, shareholders in the same room. Was pretty enlightening. I mean, you're fairly nervous on your first day going in there. You don't quite know what to expect. But to have 25 people that had the same issues, the same problems, and different ways of working them out, it was fairly amazing. And as Carl said, a lot of what you learn is just by talking to the people next to you as opposed to the person up front talking to you. The friendships you make for us, it's you've made 25 friends straight away, and you really do make 25 friends straight away. We've caught up, we've all met down in Wellington, we're all about to meet up in Auckland in a few months' time and continue to sort of talk about the problems and the good parts of business. In terms of the lectures or the classes, I think, you're going to get a few silver bullets that are sort of applicable to where you are at business at that time. But I think for me, a lot of the learnings of that time is it's a bit of a slow burner. So as we progress with business, there are sort of those aha moments that, somebody's spoken to you about that. It didn't quite make sense at the time, but now you're at another level with those sorts of things. It's starting the clouds are clear, it's sort of opening up and it's all making a sense. So it's really, you learn skills that are going to last you for some time as well. It's quite interesting. And you've got notes and material to refer back to when you hit those points as well. So I've had to do that a few times recently, so it's quite good.
Yeah, speaking of recently, it's been a tough few months for everyone. So just wanted to just to get your raw emotions and thoughts around, as soon as the government said, look, no, we're going into lockdown, what were your thoughts? Ed, we'll go with you first.
I mean, it was literally minutes after the announcement that we were all in the office, and the place went from humming to shut down within minutes, and just 7 of us in the office with all the phones ringing with people just cancelling their orders. So everything for the next day, everything for the next week, the standing orders for the next month, everybody all our customers just ringing in and cancelling them was a hell of an experience. It was pretty emotional. You sort of, where to from here? You know, we already had product, thousands. It was Easter, so it was the busiest time of the year for us. We were already under production with thousands and thousands and thousands of items and dollars worth of products that was essentially going to go to waste. So yeah, the initial couple of hours was frantic. It was just pure adrenaline, and what do we do, and how is this going to pan out, and everything goes through your head, and you want to call everybody that you know just to check to see what to do. So it was hectic, is what it was. But yeah, hey, we got through it. So
yeah. And what about you, Carl? What happened?
Yeah, probably didn't hit us initially like it would have hit Ed and guys like that. I mean, we went from, we were flat out with 6 crews working across all sorts of jobs, and some on state highways where we had, big trenches open across the road. So we sort of went from, as soon as the announcement hit, it was like, man, we're doing all this cool stuff, to holy hell, how do we make everything safe for lockdown? So that the focus shifted really quickly to that, and it probably wasn't until we closed out that site as a team, we did caught up with our whole business in our yard, and it was a little bit of a sort of ghost look on everybody's face. To be fair, it wasn't definitely different, and everyone took it extremely differently. Some of the strongest guys that you would think that were the strongest guys that we had were some of the biggest emotionally and probably biggest hit by the news. I think it was just the not knowing what was going to happen. So, well, I mean, we were in civil construction, so we were just told straight from the bat, like, none of our clients wanted us. We were non-essential, so it was probably an easy decision for us. We just shut the gate, and I guess you just had to ride the wave. So that was probably a few drinks consumed. And a few sleepless nights there right at the beginning, trying to regroup. I know a lot of the guys on my OMP class that we were talking to. We all shared pretty much the exact same sentiment in that regard. And then it was just like refocus time. I think you reached out, Maryse, straight away with the FTE funding and that was going around at the time. So we jumped straight on that. We were just probably found for the next 2-3 weeks we were just full time on Zoom looking at our accounts. I don't know, it'd be the same. I don't know how many times we reforecasted based on different scenarios. And client expectations, how much we were going to drop, how much we were going to get back. And I guess we're probably one of the luckiest stories compared to most. We ended up picking up work in lockdown. So when we came back, we actually had fuller books than what we had going in, which was quite nice. We found a lot of councils and consultants sort of pushed through and carried on planning. Just no physical work could be done. So we're kind of expecting a bit of a bubble in the construction industry to sort of hit over the next 12 months. And it certainly sounds that way with a lot of the councils are talking about with shovel-ready projects. So we've just made the decision to carry on growth and just keep going for it. So long may it continue.
Yeah. So that's led quite nicely into my next question, which you've already answered, Carl. Fantastic. So Ed, so what did you do to keep your business going or ticking along during lockdown? So quite different to Carl.
I think certainly for the first few days it was just phone calls. You were ringing everybody you knew, whether it be sort of bakery associations, your bank manager, your accountant. You just rang everybody just to get a feel for what's going on, to see if anybody had any snippets. You were constantly this is obviously after you've talked to all your staff individually to let them know what's going on and how things are mapping out. Put on a brave face for a few weeks. You have that much information to tell them. So look, it was literally, how do we get up and running? How do we get the wheels moving again? It was quite frustrating that I think in the media every night there was shortages of supermarkets. There was no bread on the shelves. There was no flour on the shelves, and we're sitting here with tons and tons of flour and the capacity to make as much bread as you can eat. So there was that will to basically. The sentiment was we just had to get baking. It just seemed just a race to be able to actually to start producing again. I think the crucial thing with that was timing of when we did it. We saw people like the Warehouse and Mitre 10 come out very early and say that they'll be opening their doors, and the backlash that they received just was fairly phenomenal. So we had to choose our timing. We went straight from day one. We went straight into our online ordering, so developing the online ordering platform.
Mm-hmm.
It took, and we're very lucky with my business partner Ryan, office manager Rob, they were able to build the platform themselves, and within 5 days we were up and running with online orders. So that was delivering right around the North Island, and that kept us going. There were obviously some issues there trying to get new products and trying to get packaging in the middle of lockdown, but we got through it, and our online ordering system was set up and really motivated everybody and got everybody going again and kept us going through the whole process.
Yeah, well, that's good. And how's your online ordering going now that everyone can go back into your stores and buy that beautiful fresh bread and donuts and pastries?
Yeah, like it's going really well. I mean, it was always the plan to launch something, as part of our strategic plan, but it was something for a lot later on this year. So we'd already mindset-wise had an idea of what we wanted. What it's enabled us to do is to basically fast track what we wanted to do, but now we've had the privilege to sort of step back and say, right, where is this going? And fast being in Hamilton, we've got a really good, our logistics are great to Auckland now. We've refined and created efficiencies in it, and put some pretty heavy marketing around it to target that Auckland market. So split it off as a separate company, and it's running really well. So
speaking of Hamilton, because as you guys know, I'm from there as well, and got a little soft spot for Hamilton. Whenever I go down there, I hang out with my mum at overnight, and we have the good old cups of teas and just a bit of a natter about the family. Hey, so Hamilton is going so well. It's expanding, it's growing. We're constantly thinking about the structure of it, and I think once this is or the roads and the inland port and all the extensions have finished or finishing, both you two will it'll be an advantage to you, won't it? Because Hamilton's there, and then it's kind of like the gateway between some pretty awesome cities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it gets a bad rap, but it's in a perfect position. Leases are still relatively cheap. Housing compared to Auckland and Tauranga is still reasonable, if you like. So yeah, look, it's a great place to do business. It's a great place to bring up a family. So.
And Carl, what about you?
Yeah, definitely much the same. I don't know, there's obviously our infrastructure, so like everything that's happening in the short term that you can see going on, like you say, the inland port, hopefully that really does wind up, and we've still got the Hamilton Expressway still working there, and a whole lot of other larger developments, the Peacockses and that are going on. So long may it continue for the region and all the guys in it. So yeah, can't see it. I personally can't see it slowing down for our sector anyway in the next 5 years. So
yeah. So looking forward, is there any advice you could give business owners right now to go, look, hey, this is something to think about, in the next year or two in relation to your business?
I guess probably the thing we're trying to focus on, and it does get really hard. I don't know how everyone else found it, but coming back from lockdown was nearly harder than being in lockdown for a lot of our staff and a lot of our people. So we've found actually getting people remotivated back into doing the level of work and where they were at before has been quite a challenge. So I guess a lot of our stuff that we're focusing on is we're doing a lot of stuff like TMIs with our team, trying to figure out how best they learn, how to lead people, doing a lot of training into that space, and generally just trying to check in probably a lot more than what we did before. And I think that's definitely for us, it's making a point of difference in the market for people coming to us. I mean, we're getting people walking in the door without advertising who are amazing people, just because they've heard of what we what we try to hold as our values as a company. I'd say that's probably one of the big things we went through with the Icehouse owner manager program was you always know values are important from working in other businesses, but the emphasis that was put on that in probably the first block or so was huge turning point for us in getting very clear on that and what we want and making them real. So it's trying to relate back to those and just keep talking to our guys. I mean, one of our big ones was family first, and that meaning our immediate families that are at home and our work family as well. So really focusing on that. So treating those guys like they are our immediate family was a big push for us and our managers. So and we don't always get it right. So being human about it.
Yeah. And what about you, Ed?
Yeah, look, I've got to agree with Carl hugely on that point. I think to extend on that is the fact that you need, as an owner, and it became quite obvious during and after COVID that you had to make time to do those things. When everybody came back, life got quite busy quite quickly, and it's quite easy for those things to slip off your radar or roll over in your to-do list, and to check up on your staff and managers on their well-being. So you need to prioritise it and make time to do those things, because it's very easy to forget about it when life gets busy. I think that's so. In terms of internally staff, that's hugely important. I think another thing for me was during the COVID lockdown, you got a real appreciation of who's on your side, who's in your corner, who really cares about your business, who is willing to pick up the phone and shoot the breeze, and some were from unlikely quarters. There'd be a supplier that we talk to every couple of days that we're going through the same problems. We never normally talk that much, but it was just great to have that relation. Your bank manager needs to listen, and I'm very fortunate to have Stacey for that. Accountants and all your strategic thinkers as well need to be on board. So we were lucky. I felt like I had a really good support crew, a good team. There were some there that we didn't hear from the whole time, who I thought were part of that inner circle of business. So it was quite interesting, and it certainly highlighted the fact that not only in everyday business, but in times like that, you need to have your team tight. And if they're not right for your business, then they shouldn't be there. If they're there for the wrong reasons, then they shouldn't be there. So that was pretty evident.
Yeah. So the Icehouse. So you remember those three circles. So you and the business, you and the business, and there's a fourth circle called community. And you guys, you just say just from what you've just said now, is you guys are community. So it's looking after your people first. So the business community, looking after yourselves, and also looking after the wider community as well. And you guys are absolutely amazing. You're fantastic businesses, you're fantastic business owners, but more importantly, you're fantastic people. Thank you so very much.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Hey, thanks everyone for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with Ed and Carl for the last little while, and just listening to their stories over the last few months, and watching them as well. I'm a avid Facebook and LinkedIn user, and just seeing the fantastic activity and posts that you guys are putting on these social media streams is it's great, absolutely great. All right. Thank you all.